especially with the adults, a lot of adults just don't have the patience, and then things come up that and they have to go. But when you're working with the youth, you have to stay focused. You have to really, if you say you're going to do something, and you have to do it because they're expecting you to do that, and you want to be a good example for the youth. And now training the teenagers to work with the younger children, that's been a blessing for our ministry, teaching them to lead, teaching them to take over and run with what they're being taught. And that's awesome to see that, because when a teenager is focused in and really understand what he or she is doing, they take it to another level. It's just like, wow, look at the energy, look at the strength, look at the excitement that they bring to the table when they are comfortable doing what they have been assigned to do, and have a full understanding of it. So that's my share on that. I pass the mic back over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, I see Love has popped up on stage. Love, would you like to share something about building a team, buying in, understanding, or communicating vision? The mic is yours. All right, no worries. We'll come back when you have a moment. So now Jesus saw potential in both Simon and Matthew. So the law of intuition is now where we step into. Would any of us have picked Simon the fisherman or Matthew the tax collector to be on our team? The former spoke more than he thought. The latter took more than he gave. But Jesus saw them both as diamonds in the rough. Jesus could see beyond the imperfections, and he put a 10 on their foreheads instead of the 3 or 4 they deserved. Unstable Peter became a solid leader of the church at Jerusalem, while Matthew became one of the most generous people in the Gospels. So when we look at this, the law of intuition enables leaders to spot potential. So consider the biblical record. Number one, who would have chosen a stammering Moses to be a spokesperson for God? Number two, who would have chosen a shepherd boy like David to be king of Israel? Number three, who would have chosen an uncouth John the Baptist to prepare the way for Jesus and baptize Jesus? And number four, who would have chosen a converted prostitute? And lastly, who would have chosen a converted prostitute, Mary, to herald the resurrection? Wow. Pastor Catherine, go for it.
Nobody but God, nobody. Because he knows our hearts. He knows what's in the inside of us. On the outside of us, we might not have developed into everything that he has put within us. And so he knows what's in the inside of us that need to be developed, that need to be pulled out of us. And so we're going forward with what we are used to, what we know, what other people have told us that, we were good for. But the Lord is like, it's deeper than that. It's greater than that. I've sent you to carry out my will, and my will is exceedingly, it's abundantly above all that you can ask or think. God is always greater than what we think in our minds. And so to choose those men to do the work, it wasn't a high-minded thing at all, because they had no clue that they were able to bring forth such great works. Moses had no idea that he would be the spokesman for the Israelites, to bring them from out of darkness into light, to pull them up out of Egypt and carry them through the Red Sea. All of that was hidden from Moses, but God knew. God knew. And that's the thing with God. God will tell you something, but he don't tell you everything. But if he tell you everything, you won't do it, because it's too much. It's too much for the mind. Because if God would have told Moses, you're gonna open up the Red Sea, you're gonna all of these plagues and all of this stuff is gonna happen, Moses would just probably say, nope, not me, not the man. You got to find somebody else. And and little King David out in the wilderness playing around with the sheep, learning to play music and all different kind of instruments, and you gonna call me to be the king over your people, that's gonna bring in your heir? No, not me. Wrong man. So I can see that. And then with that prostitute, she was like, wow, I mean, my life was just totally jacked. No, just totally jacked up. I know I'm not the one. I pass the mic back over to you, Coach.
Thank you so much, Pastor Catherine. And with that, I pass the mic over to Dee.
Yeah, it's really amazing, what how God was able to take people who really didn't seem like they would be, a likely choice. The Apostle Paul. I mean, he was a murderer of Christians. Who would think that he would be chosen, and became one of the foremost of all the apostles? He was so totally repentant for the things that he had done. And he did everything he could to make up for those things. So it's being able not only to use our intuition and guidance from God, but to realize that within each and every person, there are gifts that we might not be able to see, and to try to be more open to being aware of those things. Such wonderful way that God can use people that, and it gives great honor to him in particular, to be able to take people who seemingly have not much of anything to give, but are able to, with his power and leading and guidance, become so much more.
It's great, Dee. And I'd like everybody to consider, right? Because this is, in the beginning, this always befuddled me. It's like, why doesn't he choose people that are like, have a halo and are good people and are, above norm? And when I ran into that question, I realized, well, wait a minute. If he chose the people that people would look at and it would catch them and go, how could he have chosen this person? And then by choosing them, by having them be on his quote unquote team, and he is the greatest leader of all times, the greatest coach of all times, he's been able to coach them through their poop and turn them from poopy people into amazing people. And that was where he got to demonstrate the Son of God and the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit and the power of the Word. So, of course, he would choose the ragamuffins, the people that weren't perfect, that weren't the cheerleaders, quarterbacks, top people in the industry. He chose the people that quote unquote, needed a lift, needed an opportunity. And he spoke to them and created then an opportunity for all the people he chose to level up. And from that leveling up, everybody saw, wow, if they can, I can.
Yeah.
Over to you, Donna.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. The first thing I thought about was we are created by God Himself, and He knows each of us. Even our hairs are numbered. So He knows our hearts as well. We as humans sometimes prejudge people without knowing how God has created them. But when we seek to have the heart of God, He will show us the heart of other people. He will show us the world, those who the world have overlooked or prejudged, and with humility we're able to do what we need to do because we're following Jesus and His way, and that's at our rest of might.
Thank you so much, Donna. And with that, I pass it over to Norris.
All right, Coach. So I would just share that it's interesting that long time ago God told us, like, my ways are not like yours. And I think, we look at everything a lot of times on the surface and we just are so connected to it. Like, that wouldn't be something. And, like for me, I know I talk about God a lot. So my thing is, people think, oh, all you do is talk about God, like that's religious or that's weird. But it's like, no, we have to, depend on that level of awareness, because you don't know who you're really dealing with a lot of times, and a lot of people, they just prejudge people. And that's one reason why when Jesus would be around people, everybody would, oh, look at him, look who he's hanging around, like that's telling the full story. They would prejudge him and say, this can't be a righteous man. Look at him. Look at what he's doing. And their judgment was just totally off. It was the lenses that was, used to judge that was off, and I just think that that's important for us to remember. Is it's not about, the way we view it, it's how did God view it. We don't know, we don't always know how God is viewing this situation. That's why we depend on His views, over our own feelings sometimes. But then I yield the mic. Thank you, Coach.
Woo. Thank you so much, Norris. And with that, I pass the mic over to Sister Christy. Christy, are you still with us? All right, Yamato, I see your hand. You're waving. I did send you an invite. There we go. Go for it.
Coach. No, I wasn't waving to come up. Pastor Catherine already invited me, but I was waving at Kirsty. I was waving at Christy. I thought it would be funny to wave at her because she's not responding. But now I'm on the stage, and I'm just grateful that you keep running these rooms every day, because it really helps me a lot, Coach. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, one more time. Check in with Christy. Are you there? All right. But we're going to set ourselves up for some great homework between now and Friday. Mentoring. Jesus spent the majority of his time with 12, not 1,200. With 12, not 1,200. So, for me as part of my game, I'd be like, well, I want to do the most and as many as I can while I'm here. So I would immediately have been thinking of the 1,200. He was thinking of 12. And here's some of the reasons why. In less than one generation, the disciples of Jesus progressed from ignorant laborers to bold spiritual leaders. in what is now the largest organization in the world. How could this transformation occur? It happened because Jesus spent the bulk of his time with them. The Son of God invested the vast majority of his time with 12. The Son of God invested the vast majority of his time with 12, not 1,200. Jesus practiced the axiom, more time with less people equals greater kingdom impact. Like all good mentors, Jesus provided 5 key ingredients. 1, handles. He simplified truth into something his men could grasp, practice, and pass on to others. He took complex theology and made it usable. 2, he provided roadmaps. Roadmaps give you the big picture. They reveal where you are, they show you what roads to take, and they tell you what roads to avoid. 3, laboratories. Labs are safe spaces for experimentation. Jesus didn't just lecture, he provided labs for his disciples to practice what they learned. 4, roots. Jesus gave his followers a firm foundation and a sense of heritage. They sunk their roots into solid ground and were willing to die for him and his teaching. And 5, wings. Jesus empowered his men to soar beyond where he went himself. He pushed them and cheered them on in their victories. So as we look and see, if you're mentoring, are you providing handles, roadmaps, laboratories, roots, and wings? If you're not mentoring and you're being mentored, is this being provided to you? Pastor Catherine, what would you like to say about the homework?
Deep. I pray that that's what we're doing. This is a good study to follow. If we're not doing all of those things in our businesses or in our homes, we need to start practicing. So it gives us something to go by. When you have nothing and you want to do right, you want to do great. These are some great standards, things that you can follow. So Christ really laid it all out here for us. And so if we're not doing it, or in our businesses, or if we're not receiving it from the businesses that we're involved in, then we might want to make some changes or suggest to the leader about these different things that they can do to make things greater. So this is going to be a great study for us to look at ourselves, to look at what we're doing and what we're doing in other people's businesses that we are involved in, or churches, whatever you're involved in. See where you're going. Where is this roadmap leading you? So that's my share on that. I pass the mic back over to you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Catherine. And with that, I want to check in. Dee, would you like to share anything about our homework?
Could you repeat it? Because I was bringing my dog in from being outside.
All right. So the homework is going to be looking at mentoring and, how are you mentoring people around you, or how are you being mentored? And like all good mentors, Jesus provided 1, handles, 2, roadmaps, 3, laboratories, 4, roots, and 5, wings. How are you mentoring, or how are you being mentored? And what does it look like? And what can you now say is possible based on what you've just heard?
Well, I do mentor people, and I also have mentors, and constantly learning from both. Uh, and it brings a tremendous amount of growth. And listening to more than just one, and so much of the things that I hear from mentors is very similar and very much the same in many ways, and then in some of them just really stuff that I've never ever considered, that it takes a while to even wrap my mind around. And but then too, there's always and even like rooms like this, you hear something and it's being said in just a little bit of a different way, just tweaking it a little bit. Oh, okay, well maybe that's what I'm missing. So there's always something. As many times as I've read the Bible, and I think everybody who's gone through it more than one time realizes, oh, I didn't get that before. Oh, so, and I get that with books too. Because we're different people when we come back and do it the second time or the third time. And like, Napoleon Hill's books, or any of the big people in development, or the mind. Each time you go back, you get something more because you've become more. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And with that, I pass the mic over to Donna.
Thank you, sir. I have been both mentored, and God is preparing me to mentor. And in preparing me to mentor, the Lord has emphasized love and compassion, patience, discipline. And what I found is that I must be the first partaker of those things that he wants me to teach. I had a dream recently whereby I was serving some bacon, and the bacon was all done completely. And when I discovered what had been done, I went back and I talked to the hotel staff, and they cooked some more bacon, and I was able to distribute the well done bacon. And so the moral of that was that I have to be prepared and with humility learn what God wants me to learn, as well as when I'm mentored, be teachable and learn with humility and learn the reason I'm there, and to be teachable. And when the bacon is well done, and the Lord has shown me as the first partaker of things I've been going through and doing workshops and pamphlets and things of that sort, and teaching the girls or the family with love and compassion and acknowledging that they are God's creation, I am prepared to be mentored and to be a mentor. And I rest tonight.
Thank you, Donna. And with that, I pass the mic over to Norris.
All right, so I'll just share that I think these 5 things that Christ did is very important. It makes sense as we will continue to look at them next week. I'm going to be just kind of looking at them over the handles, the road maps, the lavatories, the roots, and the wings. I'm really curious about the wing part, because I noticed that, everybody's today is trying to be like a empowerment person, and, everybody's trying to kind of take on different roles and, do different things, which I'm not, pointing a finger at anybody, but I'm saying that, do we have what, the Word of God is telling us is practical and helpful to other people. So I'm looking at the wings part, and I'm kind of excited just to, be able to look at that and see what unfolds from it. With that, Coach, I'll yield my mic. Thank you.
Remember, Norris, the wings, up underneath the wings to lift and support them. That's where that great lift comes from. And if you see, oftentimes you'll see a great big eagle with a little tiny bird flying around it, using the upward strength and power of that eagle and the airflow of that eagle to fly along with, to catch scraps. And remember also, one of the things that we have to do as a parent is from the nest, stick your boot in the backside of your young one and kick them out of the nest so that they learn to fly.
Right.
And I think today, in today's society, a lot of people have forgotten that little tip. And instead, they keep them at home until they're like 30-something, buying them $1,000 phones, giving them a car, buying them $10 coffee drinks, and $200 Lululemon outfits. And then they wonder why they don't leave the nest. Right, Pastor Catherine?
Right, Coach.
Over to you, Yamato.
Oh, my goodness. Anyone who buys a $10 coffee more than once a day, even once a day, is just wasting their money. That's what I take away from that. That really upsets me when I hear people doing that.
They do it every day. If you go to London, there's one almost every 3 blocks. There's a Starbucks or I can't remember the name of what it is, but the competition.
Yeah, it really hurts me because I'm somebody who I'm not rich, but I have a passion for finance, and when I hear people spending money on a coffee that much every day, it really adds up. Anyway, going back to the topic. Jesus, from what you were saying about the mentorship was really important historically, like in ancient times. The boy would go off and be mentored by a soldier or by a builder, and they would have a master. So the boy would have a master, and the master would mentor the boy. Obviously, there was some kind of immoral things going on sometimes, but the point is they were taught young, and they had somebody to look up to and to mold them and to teach them the secrets hands-on, which we don't really, with the introduction of mass schooling and universities, and just being all about the textbook. I'm not really a big fan of that. I like the hands-on practical method, which obviously Jesus used because he had a small group of men and women that he directly mentored. And when you said he only had 12 disciples, it was more about quality one-on-one time with a few people. And I was like, that's something worth noting. He didn't go for like a massive audience. He was like delegating tasks to people that he could know inside out. And also, in a way, this kind of something that struck me was this room is kind of like we're like mentoring other people here. I'm not. I'm getting mentorship from you guys. So in a way, it's like we have like a little discipleship here, which I appreciate very much. So thank you very much, Coach Les.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I just want to take a moment as we wrap up here, now that everybody's got the homework down pat. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to Stephanie in the audience and Pesman in the audience and Sister Ruth and Brother Austin. Thank you for being in our room listening, is the way that both Pastor Catherine and I truly believe is the listening is where the work is powerfully done. So thank you so much. Brother Yamato, thank you. Brother Norris, thank you. Sister Donna, thank you so much. Sister D, it's just wonderful to be in your presence again. And with that, I'm going to give the mic over to Pastor Catherine to pray us out. And I will see you all on Friday at 12:30 Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for being here. The mic is yours, Pastor Catherine.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. This room has just been awesome today. Father, thank you so very much for teaching us to be able to mentor and be good, and allow